So we're back for the audio demo, as most people want to hear the differences and also A/B many different variable mute plugins I own, so you can have your own conclusion. Let's go. So let's pull up the Pulsar Mu limiter and compressor. So let's start with how I use the plugin. Now, I'll go to the preset menu and let's select my first go-to preset, running it through the hardware. Now let me take a moment to explain this preset and why it's important that I start here. If you look at the threshold, it's on max, so I'm not trying to do any compression. The same with the attack, it's on slow, and on the release, it's on the fastest, number 5. Now when it comes to the output, it's on 0 now, but we're going to be changing that when we start raising the dual input. Now I won't explain every setting on here, as it's pretty much self-explanatory, but if you have any questions, please leave a question down below and I'll definitely answer you back. So, what is the reason why I start here? This plugin modeled all the nonlinear aspects of the hardware. And so what I want to do is hear the differences when just running it through the hardware, or in this case, the plugin, just to see what kind of sound I'm going to get, because I may not have to do anything. A lot of times when you're using hardware, you don't even have to move any knobs or do anything to the hardware, as it inherently has a sound to it. So when you start driving the hardware, it gives you a nice color, and that may be the only thing you need. You don't want to overprocess the audio that you have, because what that does, it makes your sound smaller. Now, of course, if you're going for that effect, then by all means, go right ahead. But if you're trying to get your song to sound bigger and have more depth and more width, have a vibe, then I would start here. So let's listen to what we're working with. And as we do, I'm always going to start with the plugin on bypass. Okay, great. So I got a good idea of where to start. So the first thing I would do is turn the output down to about 12 dB. And then after that, I'll slowly start turning up the dual input. And I'll turn that up until a point where I think I like it, or I'll do it until I hear distortion and then start dialing it back. Let's try it. Okay, so let me explain what I did here. So I turned down the output, of course, to -12. So that way I can turn up the input without distorting the actual channel. Now, when I turned up the dual input, before I knew that the kick was coming in, I just turned it up to halfway. So when the kick came in, I knew that I can push it a little bit more. So when I pushed it to about 25 dB, it was totally distorting. So then I started dialing it back to somewhere I wanted to hear the sound of the hardware and the sound of the compression, but without overdoing it. And I think I really got a nice setting at 16.2. Now, I had the gain match when I bypassed the plugin, and it looks like I had to put the output on 13.5. But I still get the volume and the sound that I want. I can hear it closer to me, and I can also hear that it has more depth and more width, definitely more width. Here, check it out again. Okay, so I feel like I want to try something. On the sidechain EQ, I want to open up the low end a little bit. So I want to try what the hardware would do. And on the hardware, I know that once you select the high pass sidechain, that it automatically goes to 100 Hertz. So let's do that now and see if that opens up the low end. Now I'm just going to go closer to where the kick starts so I can see if that helps. Okay, so I do like it with the sidechain, but not as much as I like it without. So that just tells me that I have the dual input turned up too much. So let me try to dial it back because I like it more with the compression on the low end. So let's try that now. So that's exactly what I wanted, to sound good with or without the high pass sidechain EQ. So it's not pumping as much. So turning down the dual input to plus 15, and then turning up the output to 13.3, so I still get the same peak level or around it or a little bit under it than the original, but I get the effect of both the saturation and the compression of the plugin. It really makes my track stand out and gives it more punch, more width, and you can hear it a lot better. It's like it's really closer to you than without. That's exactly what the hardware does. It makes it jump out the speakers and come at you without doing a lot. So this is what I call keeping it simple, but still making your track and your song powerful with simplistic moves. This is how I start when using this plugin. Now, let's see what other variable mute compressors sound like with the same amount of compression and drive. Let's start off with the latest plugin by Kush Audio called the AR1. Alright, cool. So now let's try the next plugin. It's by Arturia. It's called the Comp Tube Stay, and it's an emulation of the Gates stay level. Nice. So now let's go to the overloud emulation of the Fairchild 670. Okay, the next one is by Klanghelm, and it's called the MJUC. I was one of the beta testers on this plugin, and I'm very proud of it because this is a great plugin, and I own all their plugins. Check them out. Okay, now the next plugin is from a company called Overtone, and it's another model of the Fairchild 670. Nice. Now the next plugin is Royal Compressor by Sound Device Digital and United Plugins. That's a really nice plugin. Now the next plugin we have is by IK Multimedia. It's their version of the Manly Mew hardware compressor and limiter. Alright, now the last one I'm going to do is from Sonimus, and this plugin is called Tuco. It's really nice. Check it out. So that was just to give you a taste of different variable Mew plugins. It's not to say that one is better than the other, and it's good that they all have a different sound, because that's what you want in your palette. It's just, to me, the Pulsar plugin creates more energy. It pushes the sound a little bit forward and makes it a little bit more wider, but at the same time, it gives me that punch in the middle that I love, and it helps my mix glue together. I hope that makes sense. If you have questions, please leave them below. And here's the link to Pulsar so you can grab the demo. I really think you're gonna love it. And with that said, please like and subscribe to the channel. And if you wanna see a video to a plugin that I've used today, other than the Pulsar Mew, hit me up below and I'll try to make it happen. See you on the next video.